For those in the room that aren't familiar with CASA, this is our first Melbourne project. We have a project about 4 weeks away from launching in Sydney, and we have two others here in Melbourne in the work-up phase as well. But it's not by accident that this site was the first site that was purchased by our group. The mandate for from our business is to acquire sites that are targeting sophisticated projects that lend themselves to really beautiful, authentic, timeless design that really positions each project at the high luxury end of the marketplace, but it still has some accessibility to it. They have to be around premier lifestyle precincts, and they have to appeal to a really broad purchaser profile who appreciates the ability for us to be able to put the design, the specification and the ambience into a building. And 671 Chapel Street was a real needle in a haystack for our business to find. The ability to unlock a site at the northern end of Chapel Street is very significant. The opportunities don't come along very often at all. And personally, I've been working in this precinct of Chapel Street for probably 20 years now, since the evolution of the entire precinct started, when it transformed from old warehouses and rag trading buildings, as used to be on this site. The old OJ discount centre used to be here. But the ability to actually what we consider to be, to acquire what we consider to be the last piece of the jigsaw puzzle. This whole precinct has gone through a 20 years of renewal, and like many precincts in Melbourne, it was really undertaken on the back of investors, and then the market is slowly matured now, and we think that this is really the opportunity for the last piece of the puzzle to come together, and it's sort of the result of the whole evolution of the precinct and the maturity of the market, which calls for a project of this calibre and sophistication. And it's really exciting for us to be able to grab a site at this stage of the cycle, at the end of the evolution, so the market can appreciate the scarcity of it, and we can work with a fantastic project team to be able to deliver a great product as it is. The other aspect from being in this position from us is not only the direct proximity to all of that transport, lifestyle, retail amenity, but the fact that the building, because it sits at the northern end of that Chapel Street promenade, has such great exposure. It's not in the heart of South Yarra or in the core of a built-up area. It's always going to have, as you can see from these renders and imagery, its own identity. It's never going to be caught behind other buildings or fade into the background. It's always going to be able to sit very proud and prominent and show off the beautiful architecture and the ambience of the building in perpetuity forever. And that was very important for us. That goes into the value proposition of the site that supports the fundamentals. And also that carries, of course, the views. The ability for a building to carry those spectacular western views, northern views and eastern views has really influenced the entire campaign approach and way of expressing a narrative for the building, and that is, in the morning the sun comes up in the east, the light is a little softer, you might be more inclined as a purchaser to turn left. You head down to walk along the river, go to the gym, get breakfast at one of the cafes in Richmond, transition into the city along the bike paths. But after hours, you might be more inclined to turn right and head into Toorak Road and Chapel Street. So as the building changes through the course of the day from its view lines and its light and its ambience, so you can live in the building as well. And that all comes into the why for us about why this site was selected in the first place. So there's a lot of key themes that no doubt everybody's aware of as working through the campaign and collateral, and always available to assist anybody in the room, engage with clients and talk with clients around the why we chose the site and brought the project together. And we're here to try and make it as easy as possible to engage. So if any queries or questions that can help you convey those messages to the market that you're talking to, we're here to help with the entire Colliers team to be able to make that as easy as you can. I'll hand over to Julia now from a design philosophy point of view, but again, just on behalf of all of our team, just thank you for the Colliers team and everybody in the room for your work to date. It is really exciting for us to get to a critical point in the project. You can hear in the background that the earthworks are happening. We're also very conscious that in this residential development environment, securing a builder early on in the development program is essential, not only from the developer's sanity point of view, from a financier point of view, but from the market's point of view, from a confidence aspect that the developer has worked with a builder who's got the capacity to be able to deliver the vision. And that's hard to do in this environment. It takes many, many months of hard work. But we are delighted to announce that late last week we appointed Capital as the builder for the project. Delta are on site at the moment doing the early works package, and that'll transition across to Capital in due course. But it's very exciting for us to be able to stand with you today and be able to give you the confidence that you can talk to clients and purchasers to say not only is the vision for this building really strong, but it's actually real and it's coming to fruition, and the builder is appointed. So it has taken a little longer than we would have liked to get to that position, but every single developer will say the same thing. It takes a lot of work to be able to unlock the position that we're in, and really thankful for the entire project team to bring it together. So hopefully that can give a little bit of confidence in the room, and again, more than happy to talk with you and purchasers through the Colliers team about what that means for the project. So thanks again for the time, and I'll hand over to Julian for a bit of a design overview.
Thank you, Sam. Yes, certainly very exciting to arrive here today and see the progress that is occurring on site. So my name is Julian Anderson. I'm a director at Bates Smart. We're an architecture, interior design and an urban design practice. I'd like to start by talking to you firstly a little bit about the overarching design ethos that has informed our approach to the building. This site is very significant, and we think that the success of this project will be driven by connecting the building to its place and delivering a very contextually appropriate response. We certainly had a lot to work with. You can see in the images here, the proximity of the building to Melbourne High has really contributed to some of the thinking that's gone into the building, and we were interested in part in responding to the Melbourne High School, particularly the turret and some of the impressive architecture that exists here. So we're very keen to create a dialogue with that building. We've really thought of our building as being two slender towers that have an emphasis on verticality, which does respond to the Melbourne High turrets. And you'll see that some of the detailing that's gone into the facade of our building is very much informed by what's occurring at Melbourne High. So that was something that we thought was really interesting and compelling, and set our building really successfully into its site. And then we were very fortunate to have a wonderful brief from CASA. So CASA were very keen for us to deliver a calm and enduring piece of architecture that ties into not only some of the other key significant Melbourne residential buildings we've done, like 35 Spring Street, 17 Spring Street, Classic in East Melbourne and Eastbourne, and various other projects. They were also interested in this building's proximity to some of the significant mid-century modern buildings in South Yarra and central Melbourne. I'm talking about buildings like the Fairley Flats on Anderson Street and the Treasury Building in Melbourne City. So we had a lot to work with, and we were very keen to introduce into our building a sense of permanence. So in the podium, we're using lightweight concrete facade to provide a sense of envelopment and calm and order, and we think something that is delivering a very high quality facade for this building. We also thought that, and this is a good image to have up on the screen, we did want to create something that had more solidity in the facade, in contrast to some of the other more glassy towers that are in the area. Some of that is driven not just by a desire to respond to that aesthetically, but also the need to deliver ever-increasing levels of sustainability in the buildings we're delivering. So we do need to provide more mass, more materiality, more solidity into the facade in order to deliver a building that achieves the very highest levels of sustainability. And many of you will be aware, we're also creating a very generous pedestrian link that connects Chapel Street up to Melbourne High School. So I'll talk a bit about some of the considerations that have gone into designing the residences, and Sam has touched on this. We do benefit from amazing views to the west, east and north, and that really has driven the the approach to planning of the apartment. So you'll notice that we are providing balconies on all of the four corners, so people can step out of their apartment and enjoy the wonderful aspect that exists in all directions, and that has driven the approach to the space planning of the apartment. So we've been very interested in putting the living room and dining room and kitchen areas where they benefit from that connection to the outdoor space and the views. In terms of the materiality, we are delivering a project that does think about an approach to materiality that is a warm, relatively warm and textured material palette. So there is a richness in the materials that certainly sets this project apart from many of its contemporaries. The stone benchtop is the focal point of the kitchen, and there's a fantastic example of that in here. And certainly there's a range of stones to choose from, which is adding to just the optionality of the project. In the bedrooms, there's a choice of different shades and carpet piles, and in the bathrooms, there's an interest and an expression that focuses on the horizontal, which again starts to connect the interiors of the building with the architecture. The amenity, as Sam has mentioned, is significant in this building, and I think in terms of ease of living, it really starts with that porte cochere, which connects, or I guess is consistent with the sort of porte cochere and arrival experience that you would enjoy in the highest quality hotels. So that again is about creating an environment that is very warm, welcoming and hospitable and easy for people to enjoy. You'll be aware that at level 1 we have amenities including very significantly sized lounge areas, a library, gym, spa, steam room, sauna, pool, wine room, cellar, bookable bar, lounge, dining. I guess one of the more unique components of this proposition is the presence of a winter garden on the floor plate, which allows people to step out of those lounge spaces and enjoy access to fresh air. The very impressive landscape design that goes into that space and sets it apart from its adjacent spaces. So something that we think is very appealing to this market. And I think another thing that's really been successfully sort of thought about is this approach to providing a level and range of different types of amenity that we believe does tie into this new approach to working from home. So the total ecosystem of this building, it's part of the design has been driven by a desire to say to people, look, you don't need to leave the building. You know, if you want to work from home, you can step out of your apartment and over the course of the day, do your work from home in a range of different types of spaces. And we have small meeting rooms and quiet rooms. So the design of that amenity has very much been driven by that approach to an understanding of the way people want to live and work from home. And all of these spaces, because they are at level 1 and occupy the majority of level 1, they really do benefit from significant amounts of access to sunlight and natural light. In summary, what do we think? What do I think sets this building apart in terms of the design? Well, certainly the porte cochere, the very generous lobby, double height lobby space that allows people to enter the building and get a sense of the opportunity that exists at level 1. An idea of feeling very welcome when you return from your day out, and that then flows on into the way we've thought about the texture and the material qualities of the interior design. And there is a very strong connection between the interior design and the architecture, and we think that is really important to deliver a level of synchronicity between the two and harmony between the two that provides a sort of a memorable experience for people living in this building. Of course, the level 1 facilities certainly are unique and significant. Again, security, safety, and the ability to lock up and go. The nearby amenity is really important, and Sam's talked about that. I think one of the other things that we're conscious of is the ability for people potentially to use their car less in this location. The connectivity that the river provides, both to the city and then east to clubs like Royal South Yarra, Kooyong, everything the river has to offer is significant. In addition, obviously, to the dining, entertainment, and sports precinct, all within close proximity to your doorstep. And then the space, light and views, which have been really the driver behind the arrangement of all of the apartments, so that every apartment is really benefiting from that. So I guess to summarise, we do believe this building is really well connected to its place. It thinks about it thinks about its context, and we do believe that because of that, we are able to amplify the quality and enjoyment of the residents' living experience. Thank you.
Thanks, Julian. So look, before I go into the incentives that we're about to offer, we're going to have some information on Capital, the builder that Sam's just announced. We'll have an information pack that Lynn and the team will provide to you guys. But look, what I want to say is, look, for a lot of you, that'd be the most people you've seen in this display suite. What this shows really is just how good this display suite lends itself to holding events. So if you have clients who you want to bring in, or if you want to run an event in here, speak to Lynn or Lucy or Sal, who you've all been working with very closely, and have a chat with them. You know, we're at a point of the project that's really exciting, having a builder announced. And what sets us apart, you know, in addition to some of the things that Julian just mentioned, and the location, you know, a lot of projects, there is real limitations on what is sort of I'll use the word a standard owner-occupier, say, 2-bedroom apartment can actually achieve in their apartment. I only had this in a deal this morning on a different project, where there's a real limitation on the premium finishes and what have you. In this project, you can scale up a standard 2-bedroom apartment to have the most premium finishes, you know, underfloor heating, heated towel rails, you name it, you can get it in that apartment. Even the 1-bedroom apartments, you can do that. Though, thanks to one of the people in the room here, in particular, there's not really many 1-bedrooms left. But look, this is a hugely successful project. We're at a really exciting milestone with the naming of Capital as the builder. And I'll run through just quickly what the incentives are for a limited time. For foreign buyers, there is, and local buyers for that matter, there is now interest on deposit as standard. They're able to benefit from the blanket exemption for FIRB, which means that your client doesn't have to pay a lawyer to make an application with a FIRB. They can enjoy that benefit of that exemption certificate. They'll pay only at settlement, so they can wrap that all up with their finance at the end, which is really helpful. I know that that's a real factor now for any buyer off the plan, as those fees are increasing all the time, including we'll jump again on the 1st of July. So that'll be adjusted at settlement, and there's $10,000 in value for upgrade inclusions, as I sort of alluded to just before. For local buyers, there's again interest on deposit. There's upgrade inclusions of $15,000 for 2 bedrooms and $20,000 for 3 bedrooms, and the probably the most exciting to everyone in the room, an agent bonus for any local sale, a $15,000 payment at unconditional. So for any local deal, you'll be paid an extra $15,000 commission at unconditional, which is hopefully a huge incentive to everyone in the room to get on the phones and start talking to some clients. So, but look, thanks again for everyone coming along today. I know that you get invited to a lot of events, and so thanks for taking the time out to come along and hear from Sam and Julian, and enjoy the food there. It looks amazing, and look forward to talking to a few more before we leave today. Thanks.